Hello everyone, welcome back. In this video I want to talk about some of the differences in singles combat, okay, or basically a dueling, right, combat between two individuals, and fighting in a battle or a war or a melee. The historical manuals that we've been looking at, primarily literature, basically it deals with combat between two individuals. Okay, it doesn't talk about war tactics or fighting as part of a larger unit, and that makes sense for two reasons. Number one, if you're fighting as part of a unit, okay, or basically your what you do has to be in line with what everybody else in the unit is doing, the way they're moving, the commands that they're responding to, how they stand in line. So each unit or each army is going to have its own way of operating. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing, the people that wrote most of these manuals, right, like Lignature, Lichenauer, Mayer, Talhoffer, okay, these guys were basically they were schoolmasters. They were running fencing schools for business, right, for profit, and basically they were not going to make any money trying to teach people in an army how to fight, because basically those guys were already getting instruction from their commanders. So if you're going to have a fencing school, it makes sense to gear it more towards individuals and singles combat. Okay, so that's why most of the manuals that we get take the form that they do. They talk mostly about individual combat, about duels, the judicial combat or the judicial duels. So that said, let's talk about some of the differences. Now, I have the benefit of being able to draw from my SEA experience, where, for example, I've been to Penzik, where we have like 1,000 guys on each side. So you have 1,000 guys, coming at it and basically fighting on a battlefield. We do field battles. We do woods battles where we're fighting in the woods. We do bridge battles where basically we use hay bales to channel people into like narrow corridors, bridge battles. So we do all these types of battles, and they all take on a different flavor. The main thing is that because we're focusing here on sword and shield, let's talk about the function of a shieldman as part of a larger unit. Okay, basically there's three things. There's one of three things that you are most likely doing. Okay, you're either holding the line. Okay, so your place is to basically stay on that line and form a shield wall and not let anything get through. Okay, it's not to attack. It is to basically hold the line. So that's one. That's one possibility. The second possibility, whereas basically as part of a shield column, okay, or a shield charge, you're trying to break through to the other side. So in which case in most cases you're more interested in using your shield as a battering ram to try and break the other side's lines and basically crash through. And then you have, your job is not to kill people as you're charging through the other lines. Your job is to just get through and let the guy behind you do the killing, okay? Because as you crash through, if you're successful, what's going to happen is, and you break up their line, now all of a sudden people are going to be out of place. So the people coming behind you, basically they're going to be able to gang up on individuals that are out of place. So you get that 2-on-1 type of scenario, which is ideal for for melee combat. Okay, in melee combat we don't want a fair fight. We always want to outnumber the enemy, even if that means that, let's say, we're starting off with even sides, which is rarely the case. I mean, even in practice or in when we do like SEA combat, the sides are never even. Okay, especially when you got like 1,000 guys on each side. I mean, there's no way you can count that many people, because people move around. They're not going to stand in line and take a number. So the sides are always uneven. But even if they're close to being even, ideally what you want to do is you want to basically get part of your line to basically attack, to concentrate on one side of the opposing line, defeat them, and then basically use your entire army to outnumber whatever's left over. Okay, So that said, and something like that, it really doesn't matter, if you're using steel swords or wooden swords. What's more important is where the pressure is being applied, okay? Rather than whether people are using steel or wood, or what are the target areas. Getting your people to the right place is going to be a lot more effective, okay? So, as we're saying, there's basically three options. One option is where basically, as a shield man, you're there to hold the line. Second option is you're crashing through to the other side, trying to basically take ground, and basically, destroy the enemy line, or destroy their formation. And the third option, which is actually pretty rare, is basically where you walk up and you basically engage inline formation without trying to break through to the other side, and not trying to give up. Basically, just making, moving forward. Let's say one step at a time, and as you're moving forward, basically striking. And this is very rare because what happens is inevitably the other side. If you're not charging into the other side is probably going to charge you. So this type of a static fighting with sword and shield usually does not last too long. It tends to last a lot longer if you have like a lot of spears, okay? Because you got the spears, they line up and they do a lot of like spear dueling. That tends to to actually follow that pattern a lot more. Shieldmen, or if you have a line of shields, most of the time they're breaking through or they're getting broken through, okay? Or they're holding the line static, okay? Their job is to basically stay here, not let anybody come through. If anybody tries to come through, deal with them. And while that's happening, basically you got spears, that are basically shooting over the top. So you're here, a couple of feet in front of you is another shield man, and basically you're out of range, right? Because basically that shield man, let's say you have a total of maybe 4 feet of reach. Well, he's 5 feet back. So it's the spear that's shooting over your back that's trying to kill that spearman. Your job is to make sure that they don't charge through and kill the spearman behind you, okay? But now let's focus on that rare situation where you actually have two lines of shield men that actually face up and they're actually duking it out, trying to kill each other without trying to break through one side, trying to break through to the other side. What does that look like? Well, what happens is, if I line up with the shield, first of all, when you're in a melee, you tend to hold the shield a little bit more flat in front of you, okay, as opposed to a little bit off to the side when we're fighting singles combat. It tends to be a little bit more in front of you, okay. Because basically, you try to get like these. I mean, the shields really don't overlap, but you get pretty good protection like that, okay. And now the other thing is that these strikes, if I'm standing directly in front of that shield, the strikes that we use in the melee combat are very simple compared to singles combat. Because if we're doing singles combat, I have one person I'm trying to defeat over there, and I'm using movement. Like I'm striking, I'm stepping around, I'm trying to get around this side. So there's a lot of movement that's involved, and there's a lot of me trying to get around the edges of that shield. If I'm part of a line where I have a guy to the left of me and the right of me, I don't have that option of moving left, right, trying to get around, moving back and forth. My place is to stay on line. Okay? So for that reason, what shield combat, the form that it usually takes is, if I'm standing in front of this guy, I'm not attacking that guy, okay, because I have my shield relatively flat in front of me. I'm not attacking that guy. What I'm doing is I'm attacking that guy, the guy off that's diagonal. Or if I'm over here, right, I'm not attacking the guy that's in front of me here. I'm attacking the guy that's off to the side over here. And the strikes that I will take, that I will make, are relatively simple. They're not, basically they're going to be, because remember, I also have a guy standing to the left and right of me, so I really can't swing the sword sideways out. It's going to have to come down vertically. So I'm striking down vertically at the guy in front of me diagonally. I can also, I can start vertically and then turn the shot, into a left side workout, or turn the shot, turn it into a right side sword chow. You know, or I can basically come down and strike at the leg like that. You know, sometimes I can bring the sword down and then strike at the leg from that side. So I can use middle house, either left or right. But the thing here is that the sword starts from a high position. It needs to come down vertically, and then basically from there it can either continue vertically, or it can go left side sword chow, right side sword chow, or it can go, you know, right side middle how, or left side middle how. And what typically happens is, after I throw my shot, I'll pull back and I'll reset. Throw another shot, pull back, reset. Throw another shot, pull back, reset. You know, so the blows tend to be a lot simpler. A lot of the stuff that I would be doing, let's say in singles combat, where I'm doing a lot of deception, where I'm trying to, you know, let's say, you know, throw this side, you know, threaten that quadrant, so I can then strike that quadrant. That's being done by the guy that's to the left of me and to the right of me, okay, or the spears behind me, because behind me now I have spears that are shooting over my shoulder, and the spears are coming in and they're striking here, and they're striking here, and they're coming down and striking here. So these spears behind me are going to be doing a lot of that misdirection, maybe getting that shield to move around just a little bit as it tries to, you know, block his face. And as he moves that shield a little bit, I'm going to basically take my cut, or vice versa. I might be taking a cut, which is going to get him to move his shield over just a little bit, which is going to create the opportunity for the spear to come over the top, and basically get, you know, thrust into his face. Okay, so there's a few things to think about you know, melee combat versus singles combat. You know, the main thing is that the blows are a lot simpler. You know, you got a guy to the left of you and to the right of you, so the blows tend to start. They tend to come straight down. I mean, you can turn them to the left as you come down. You can turn them to the right. You can come down to the leg, turn it to the left, come down to the leg, turn it to the right. But you can't take, like, you can't take a blow to the side here, because you're going to hit the guy to that side. Or I can't take a blow to this, you know, I can't swing the sword around here and take these wide, because I'm going to hit that guy over there. So that's why the blows basically come down vertically, and then from there you can direct it a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right. And the main thing is that you're working with other people who are also attacking at the same time. You know, sometimes it's coordinated, sometimes it's not. You know, sometimes it's just, you know, find whatever opportunity, because, you know, basically you got those spears over you, they're just shooting away. They're going pop, 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 and basically the guy in front of you is moving his shield back and forth, which is creating opportunities for you to potentially strike, or you're creating opportunities for them to strike. Now, sometimes, let's say you're in a situation where you don't have spears, right, shooting over the top. You just have shieldmen versus shieldmen. Okay, so in that situation where where one side is not trying to crash through the other side, you know, let's say they're both, the orders are both to just hold the line and just fight it out. You know, a lot of times what will happen is the orders will be, okay, every other man, you know, if, you know, my job is to strike high, the guy next to me, his job is to strike low. The guy after that, his job is to strike high. The guy after that, his job is to strike low. So this way, by you know, we're kind of misdirecting for each other. Okay, you know, as one person throws it, like, let's say I'm lining up with this guy in front of me. I know that I can't hit this guy because he's got his shield relatively flat. But by me throwing a shot up there, you know, that, you know, he's going to move his shield just a little bit. That's going to create the opportunity for the guy next to me to basically land that shot right there. So a couple of things for you guys to think about. If you guys have never done melee combat in the SCI, you guys should totally try it out. It is a really awesome experience. You know, especially, you know, like I said, we do all sorts of different battles. A field battle, for example, where you're fighting on a large grassy area, it takes on a different flavor, because basically you got guys that are able to, like, kind of charge at each other and you know just start banging away at each other. When we do a woods battle on the other hand, where we're fighting through, like, thick forests like this, you can't basically charge the other guy because there's basically branches and all sorts of, and rocks, and the ground is uneven. There's all sorts of stuff on the ground, so you're not able to really mount a charge, especially in that type of a battle. The polearms and the spears, especially the spears, tend to really dominate because the shields can't really charge in hard and fast. And even if they try to mount a forward charge, the ground is going to prevent them from all charging, hitting the opposing line at once, because the ground is so broken up and there's so many obstacles. Anytime you try to mount a straightforward, a forward charge, what's going to happen is some guys are going to end up getting left behind. Some guys are going to are going to advance quicker. So it's really impossible to mount a hard charge in the forest. Whereas the spears are able to kind of, basically walk up to each other and kind of duel it out. The way we use shields in the forest battle is basically we'll create a column, or like a two-man column, where you have the spears. I'm sorry, where you have the shields. Basically, two guys, 10 or 20 guys back, and they will basically, try to go straight in and penetrate the other side. And there's two ways that because now they're all going over the same ground, so they kind of, because they're one right behind the other, so they're gonna move in a more uniform manner. The way that usually happens is, yes, they do get a little bit of penetration, and then what happens is that the guys in the front, because remember, as you punch through, now basically you got guys you're surrounded, right? So now the shield column going in is surrounded on all sides, and now they're getting hit from everywhere. So the guys in the front tend to get killed, and then basically as they fall down dead, now they create an obstacle for the guys trying to push in from behind. So that's another thing that you will experience when you do like SCA style melees. The dead have to fall down dead, so now the dead are an obstacle, that you have to basically walk around, climb over. So that's also going to, change how your army moves. One of the things I found, if you're going to try and mount a shield charge, there really has to be a strategy. Like if you're going to try to line up a column, because the other side is going to see that column forming up. They're going to see, okay, great, there's a column of shields coming up. They're going to push through over here. The only way that you can really use that effectively is while that column is lining up and trying to push through, you're doing something else on the other side over there. So if it's coordinated like that, it can be effective. But generally, what I find is having shieldmen charge into the enemy line in a column where they end up basically surrounded on all sides. Just gets them killed really, really fast. Okay. And like I said, in the forest, you really can't mount a shield charge, that's widespread, because as you're moving through the forest, the line is not going to move forward at the same speed because of the different branches and rocks and different things on the ground. That works better like in an open field, in a grassy field. But a couple of things for you guys to think about. If you got any questions or comments, please post them. If you're not a member, subscribe. Talk to you guys next time.